Welcome to Around the Blockchain. Today, we're talking about the SEC case against Voyager. We're also talking about the AI takeover happening with altcoins. What coins should you be holding? Are you holding on to some of these coins? And also, we're going to talk about Algorand. Algo fam, where are you at? Apparently, there's a community out there somewhere. So hit that like button. Let us know if you're watching and you're in the Algo fam. It's going to be a great episode. We got some great guests in various degrees of clothing. We're going to start on the top right. We have Ryan holding it down. Ryan Naylor. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm shirtless. So it's Friday.
Hey, bear markets, sometimes they can get a little rough and you don't want to get caught without your shirt. All right. Also today, one of our favorite guests inside the building, it is AJ. AJ writes crypto. He's on the JPEG Junkies team. He's on the writing team for BitBoy Crypto and Around the Blockchain. If you see some of our specials, good chance AJ had his finger in it. Also today, and wait a minute, also huge in the Algo fam. Then we also have RiceTVx holding it down. Always say, please sub to his channel. Great interviews. Talking to people no one else is talking to. Sometimes out of fear, sometimes he's just that guy. So make sure you sub to Rice. And first time on the show, I believe, Cassie Wolfe. I think you're with the BitBoy team and you're in the Bahamas, correct?
Yeah,
No.
about a month ago.
Okay. Did you happen to catch a glimpse of SPF?
Yes, I did, and I actually felt really bad for him.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with human compassion. Yeah, I know we're in crypto, but it doesn't mean you can't have empathy. All right, like I said, SEC versus Gemini. More stuff coming, hitting the marks here with Earn program now currently owing $900 million. Just a little background on the story. SEC accusing Gemini and Genesis of offering unregistered securities to retail. Of course, people gave Gemini via their Gemini Earn program some funds. Hey, let's earn some stake. They then in turn use Genesis Trading, which is part of DCG Digital Currency Group. And they are now, hey, we don't know where the money is. Another tale of, crypto bear markets. Now, Tyler Winklevoss, that's right, the Winklevi behind these. They responded to SEC's filing on Twitter saying the behavior was totally counterproductive. Now, then Emmer decided to get into the fight. He's also he's going against the SEC, saying Gary Gensler once again late to the game, protecting no one. Rice, I wanted to get your thoughts on Representative Tom Emmer. He seems to be fighting for the people, but then some criticisms are saying this is a little, too late. What's your opinion on what Tom Emmer and some of these other politicians are really trying to make Gary Gensler accountable here? It might be muted there.
I definitely was muted. Thanks
Okay,
again
sure.
for having me back on Around the Blockchain. When it comes to this situation, man, Tom Emmer was actually blowing the whistle right as soon as the fallout began with FTX. It was just maybe a day or two after CZ was talking about dumping the FTT tokens and then talking about acquiring FTX ultimately. And Emmer was saying at that time how suspicious everything was, especially from an SEC perspective, knowing that there was a lot of meetings and the SEC just completely missed this. Either they missed it or they overlooked it. I guess if you know a little bit about how the SEC was with the Bernie Madoff stuff, it just shows the incompetence of the SEC, and hopefully we will see an end to the SEC, or at least we will see the bill being passed where cryptocurrency will be monitored by the CFTC, even though it's all still part of the government.
All right, and yeah, he seems to be getting flack from now even both sides of the aisle. Cassie, a lot of the criticisms towards Gary is he's spending too much time trying to be flashy, making these commercials, going after Kim Kardashian, and then instead he's secretly having meetings with SBF. What do you think about that when you hear something like that? Is he, just being too much of a politician and not enough of a regulator? What's your opinion of this?
I mean, I think one of my I think he's definitely being too much of a politician, especially with what they're doing with Genesis, because I mean, to my understanding, Celsius hasn't been uh sorry, I
prosecuted?
took notes on that. Basically, yeah, they haven't been prosecuted and they're gone now, right? And with their bankruptcy currently in effect, there was a recent ruling that determined that the funds that were deposited by customers into their earn program were part of the estate. So then meanwhile, we have these guys trying to avoid a bankruptcy, but we're gonna go after them with, you know, a bunch of penalties, and where's that money gonna come from?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because eventually it seems like the money does have to come from somewhere, and if you have a pile of cash that is customers' funds, begs the question, you know, will they just end up hurting consumers to trying to get their money back? Now, Ryan, I wanted to ask you about the Winklevoss specifically. There's a lot of criticism saying, "Hey, I didn't trust Genesis Trading with my money. I trusted Gemini." And now Gemini, I'm looking at you and it feels like you're just pointing a finger at someone else. What do you think about the Winklevoss accountability here? Should they be held responsible or, you know, do you give them some credence here saying it's not our fault?
I think everyone needs to be held accountable, especially the Winklevoss. You know, when it comes down to it, people, when they put their money into an earned account, they believe that wherever they're depositing it, they're responsible for that money. It doesn't necessarily mean that when I put my money in there, I believe that they're going to just have it sitting over at Genesis or some other trading desk. I think, because I have some money on Gemini as well, Gemini Earn, I think that when I put my money on there, even though I know they can lend it, that they're responsible for it. Maybe it should be insured. So, you know, one of the ways that the insurance works, especially in DeFi, is through smart contracts. Looking at Celsius, and the gal just before me was talking about Celsius, the people that got paid back first, I wouldn't even call them people. Those are smart contracts. Automatically got paid back.
Yeah.
All of this should be insured, not just through insurance mechanisms, but also through smart contracts.
Yeah.
They should all be held accountable.
Hey, that is a good idea. Proof of funds involving a smart contract. I'm sure it's some founder's mind right now. They're trying to probably build it out. I'd say 5-10 years. I think that might be the norm. Maybe closer to 10 versus 5. AJ, I wanted to ask you about this quote from, I think it was Tyler, not Cameron. He compared these charges that they're getting. You know, they get these little fines. Someone like a Winklevoss, probably more akin to a slap on the wrist or a mosquito bite, but he called them, and I quote, a manufactured parking ticket. Do you think that their cavalier attitude about the amount of these fines and, you know, to someone like a Winklevoss, you know, if you have $1 billion, sure, you know, a $10 million fine would feel like a parking ticket. Is that part of the problem? These exchanges are so large, and yet, you know, we're giving them little slaps on the wrist here. Should we increase these fines to some of these crypto exchange operators?
No, I think the rules should be clear first. If you're going to make the rules super clear and then increase the fine, sure, but I'm not sure if anyone in the world legally knows how to release a public blockchain in America. That rule it's not a clear rule. And instead of there being a rule book and then reading the rule book and said, hey man, look, you broke that rule, they're just kind of just throwing everything at the wall and saying you broke the rules that don't exist. Like the Security Exchange Act is from like 1930 whatever, and it was over oranges, and now it's being used to make rules about, you know, cutting edge technology and blockchain. Like the rules need to be rewritten before the SEC should waste taxpayer dollars to attack anybody. And it just kind of seems kind of funny that, you know, the same week Cameron and Winklevoss twins are going against Barry Silbert and all that. And now this same week when Silbert owes them almost $1 billion, now is when they get hit by the SEC. Not last week, not last month, not 6 months ago. Now. Yeah. The timing is hilarious to the Winklevoss twins. This is probably just funny to them. And I kind of see to them, this is it literally is a manufactured parking ticket. I actually agree with them.
All right. And yeah, it's a good point of you saying, you know, they just come in too late. They're always late to the party. You know, they're the last one to show up to the polycule. By then, everyone's smiling, smoking a cigarette, lounging on the beanbag chair.
In this aspect, though, timing might be everything because, I mean, it's kind of kicking them when they're down. I mean, at this point, are the Winklevoss going to be able to afford the attorneys that they would have been able to afford prior to this happening? So, I mean, the SEC is definitely taking advantage of the timing. It's going to be interesting to see how it ultimately plays out when it comes down to it. But it's not really going to be looking very good for Gemini, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree. Or go ahead.
They're gonna have to spend some of that Facebook money on lawyers. You feel me?
Yeah, and it's
Get
a
rid
little
of
bit
some of
hard
their
to
Bitcoin.
sell $18,000 Bitcoin. You know, if you are in their position,
Right.
I can. That's a tough choice. I would be trying
It's
to
true.
raise debt or sell kidneys before I would do that. All right, let's move on and talk about the AI takeover. Unless you've been under a rock, you've been hearing about all the advances AI has been having. Let's see here. There's the big $10 billion investment by Microsoft into OpenAI has fueled a whole run on certain altcoins with any kind of AI tangential connection, and then you're going to see a pump here. Let's see, just a little background. ChatGPT and the Dolly app is from the OpenAI team, and then Microsoft just gave them $10 billion at a $29 billion valuation. If you ever watch Shark Tank, it's like a Kevin O'Leary deal. They're getting paid back first. They're getting their money before anyone else does. I'll throw out some of the micro caps, and I'm not saying YOLO trade or try to follow these. AGIX, AGIX, it's up almost 100% over the week. Fetch.ai, I think it's up probably roughly 40% at this point over the week. Ocean Protocol, it's a data sharing blockchain. It supposedly might give data to some of these AI parameters. It's up 40% in the past 7 days. So we're seeing all types of pumps. Now, Cassie, is this pump for AI, is this sustained? Is this smart investment? Is this YOLO trading and, maybe expect some correction? What do you see, or what are you thinking when you see all this money pouring into these AI altcoins?
I mean, I really think only time will tell. It's definitely a thing right now. I mean, I was messing around with Midjourney. Everybody's kind of jumping on the bandwagon. Whether or not these values are going to hold is a whole other story. I did actually look up AGIX, and their project is related to Cardano, so that's one that I'll look into a little bit more. But I think I previously looked into like Fetch AI. I just don't. I think the big thing is going to be what are they going to do with it, right? Are these going to be marketplaces? Where's the utility going to be?
Okay, yeah, I'm actually looking at AGIX right now, and yeah, that might have actually been written too early. Yeah, it looks like it is up way more than 90%. Yeah, this was written right before
Yeah.
this pump right here, and you can actually see, yeah, AGIX is tripled. It is up 200%, not just 100%. Ryan, what do you think about this AI? There's a lot of. I'm bringing this one to you because you're dressed as the Terminator in the beginning of T2. So what do you think about AI? Is it overblown? Are the fears, too much? Is this 10 years away? And I wouldn't really be worrying about speculating on altcoins right now. What's the Ryan take on AI?
The Ryan take on AI, if you look further into who's behind OpenAI and ChatGPT and who they want to team up with Microsoft, do you guys remember WorldCoin, that project that was around and they're scanning people's eyeballs and giving away free crypto
Yes.
to everyone? They're scanning people's eyeballs, and then that project pretty much went dark, and all the developers are like, what the heck? What's going on? And now you've got OpenAI and ChatGPT, and they're not taking eyeball scans anymore, but they are taking real phone numbers, not anonymous voice over IP numbers. I like privacy personally, but at some point you're going to give up your privacy to play with something that's really fun. And so, yes, I'm like way on board with the AI scene. In fact, I'm hiring a VA from the Philippines. I recorded a video on my channel about hiring a VA, and I sent him a list of all the things I want him to do with my video using all the different free AI tools, because honestly, they can make it look so much better. They can make videos cooler. They can make me look smarter. I'm not that smart of a guy, but they can make me look smarter.
All right. Ryan, are you John Connor?
I'm not John Connor.
Okay. Rice, it does appear this tech ultimately here to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. What's the Rice plan to take advantage of this or to protect oneself from AI? I imagine this is something you've thought about extensively.
Yeah, no, I actually have, and it's interesting that we brought up AGIX with SingularityNet because I have interviewed Dr. Gortzel, who is behind SingularityNet and also the chief scientist that was behind the making of Sophia, the robot that most people are familiar with, even the AI robot that Ben Armstrong interviewed at NFT NYC. We are at the beginnings of AI. But I do want to see AI being used for more positive purposes. I do like one of the original robots that Hanson Robotics created prior to Sophia was for elderly care. But I think having decentralized AI, which is what ultimately SingularityNet is trying to create, is a decentralized AI ecosystem marketplace, is going to be very beneficial for people to be able to utilize these technologies. Um, as far as the Chat GBT, Open AI stuff, I mean, we are just at the beginning. It's going to take over. AI is going to take over a lot of different industries. I mean, we've been hearing about this for quite some time, and we're getting closer and closer to it. A lot of people are talking about Chat GBT replacing something like Google search. So even pre-search, the crypto project has integrated Chat GBT in their search mechanisms. So it's definitely forward thinking, but definitely making sure that we're utilizing these technologies for more positive purposes, because a lot of AI is being used for military. We have algorithms that are designed for censorship and things to that effect. So I would love to see that, but also you got to forward think about what these world leaders, these influential people in the world today, and one organization, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, his book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. We are at the beginning of this, and AI is a huge part of that. So making investments in AI related companies is a smart move, but it's still early. It's fast moving, but it's still early.
All right, AJ, I want to ask you about the trading aspect of AI. And, AI essentially is just, on a long enough timeline, everyone is just going to have the best indicator in their pocket. It's what's the AI going to do for trading? It's just going to look at when you should buy, when you should sell, aka nothing more than a buy sell signal. If everybody has these trading indicators, do you think that's going to make it more skill intensive to trade or less skill intensive to trade? Meaning, what is the delta here between the top people and the bottom people? Is it increasing or decreasing as everybody has access to these awesome indicators?
Man, that's a really good question, and it kind of says like, what's the point? What would be the point of trading if everyone has AI? That's what I always said. Like with the whole Neuralink thing, like the game of poker is going to be over if we all have Neuralink in our head. It would kind of defeat the purpose of it.
It would become a game of chance and luck.
Yeah,
honestly.
like really,
Yeah.
it would really just eliminate the sport,
The slight
of
edge
it.
of skill. Yeah.
Yeah, like it would take all the fun out of the game. So actually I kind of hope that doesn't happen. It's good to have an edge on people, and without an edge, you're going to lose. And yeah, it just even I'm looking at cryptoslate.com, like all the projects in AI. If you just search like AI crypto, and there's a list of all these coins that are involved in AI, and all of them are up 100%, 80%, 40%, 130%, 100%. You get the picture, like, and it's not just the two coins you mentioned. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And like with AI and just the future of the world, like if you put like Elon Musk and Lex Friedman in the same room, they would both already agree that we're past the point of no return. We've known that for a couple years now, and like I'm not here to get all like crazy about the singularity, but it's a thing, and hopefully I don't see it in my lifetime, but my kid might be pretty pissed off about it.
Real quick, Cassie, do you think we'll ever not look at it as a threat, or will it just always be something dangerous to us?
I think it'll always be something dangerous.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
they've done yeah, there's been so many different experiments done. I don't know if you guys are familiar. They created this bot, and I think they put it on Reddit. And like within I think it was like within 2 days, it was like spewing like Nazi stuff. The issue is because we have this artificial intelligence, but it still the parameters have to be designed, right? So it really is to some degree an extension of the people designing it.
Mm-hmm. And the information flowing into it, which I guess is by proxy up to the designers. And so, yeah, there's a lot to unfold here. Rice, go ahead.
I want to add in, we had a situation with Facebook where they had two different AIs that were ultimately communicating with each other and creating their own language.
Yes, and I think it was within 3 days they invented their own language, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even 2 days.
They
Yes,
cut them off. And then we heard about the issue, the possible, I forget the name of the bot, but the AI, but with Google gaining sentience, we're seeing facial recognition happening. There's even a company in China that does facial recognition that calls themselves Skynet. speaking of Terminators. So I mean, this stuff
Wow.
is a reality, and it definitely, until we can get a better grasp on this technology and understand it, it's going to be something we fear. And then anything that we create that ends up being superior to us mentally is even going to create that much more skepticism and fear as well.
Yeah. A little
And
moment of
also-
brevity. Or go ahead, AJ, real quick.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you also have to keep in mind of like the bias that is like from the people who created the AI that put it into the AI. Like, just for example, my girlfriend and I were messing around with ChatGPT, and we asked it, why do people like Nancy Pelosi? And it says Nancy Pelosi is a predominant figure in politics, la da da. And then we put in, why do people like Donald Trump? And it said Donald Trump is a polarizing figure.
Yeah,
and it never
yeah,
even mentioned that he used to be the president.
Examples. Yeah, there's many examples. At least
just
with
like-
OpenAI, it's very clearly left leaning, but just
Yeah,
someone could very
100%.
easily make one that's the opposite. So to Cassie's
just-
point, it's all about the parameters and the information.
They're trained. They're trained, and they're not, and they are biased by the people that create them.
All right,
Exactly.
and I know I don't know if we have that clip, but I am not a cyborg. I know I have a metal hand. It basically does look like the Terminator in there, but I promise DZ is not part of Skynet. That is exactly what Skynet would say.
Prove
All right,
it.
let's move on. Talk about Algorand here. I might even pull up the little price action before we talk about it. I want to say it's ranked 32, 32, 33. I am off. I'll go ahead and submit my resignation now. All right, so we have Algorand coming in at 33. Here's just a little price action. If we look at the all-time chart, it kind of gives color to the story here with their botched IPO by all accounts. You can see here that plummeting candle, then they end up scrambling and changing their emissions rewards. But on the shorter time, if you look at the last 90 days, maybe we're curving up. If you look at the 30-day chart, somewhat of a very weak cup forming. Who knows? Is there a handle? But comparing Algo to other proof of stake blockchains like ETH, ADA, there's a lot of tokenomics to unpack. AJ, I know you're somewhat of an Algo expert. I'll throw some hard hitting questions a little later, but what's your take on Algorand? I know you have .algo in your name, correct?
No, I don't have it in my name, but I do. I'm buying it. I already bought it, but I'm waiting on. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk to you about trading. I know you'd love to talk about the tech, but from a trading standpoint, what do you think of this current price of 22 cents? If I look at the 3 month, it looks like we hit as low of about 17 cents. If we look at the 1 year chart, the Bitcoin crash, now we're even lower than we were then. Is this a area you feel comfortable starting a DCA strategy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been scaling. Well, basically, Algorand was hanging around 30 cents for a really long time. It was hanging around 30 cents. And that was like kind of when I first publicly came on BitBoy Crypto ever. And I was like, I'm really bullish on Algorand right now. And then it ran up to like 42 cents. And based off of what I saw on my charts, I actually sold pretty much everything right there at like 40 cents, 41 cents. And then I waited for a really long time because I knew I was doing a lot of short trades. And I also knew that the market was probably coming down given all the situation. And more recently, I have been buying in droves and DCAing weekly. My average buy right now is like 17.50, almost 18 cents around there. So like Algorand is definitely a coin that I'm comfortable to hold for a very long time. My Algorand positions right now I don't think they're day trades. I plan to hold to at least, once the bull run picks up, we'll see where things go. But I know that Algorand likes to hang around 30 cents. And we're only at 22 cents now. It's up like 25% in the past week alone. This is just the time, like everything got wrecked from the bear market, not just Algorand. And Algorand is definitely picking up momentum. The tech, the use case, especially the community, I'm super bullish on it. I definitely want to talk about the governance about it, but I'll talk about that next circle around.
Maybe. Who wants to hear about governance?
You sound like you get paid.
Let me know
those
if you want to
guys,
hear about
AJ.
governance. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
I don't
here.
get paid by Algorand.
He
Just-
does love it.
I was joking.
No. I am actually
Okay.
partially responsible for AJ pushing Algo so hard. I said
Well,
I
how
gave
dare
him
you
one
take
of
that
his
credit?
first viral Algorand tweets, and he just got high off that supply of dopamine. And
Oh my
you know what?
God.
He's never been able to turn around since.
Hey, DZ, can I have a ride home?
Yeah. I got you, buddy. I had to throw a little shade your way. All right, Rice. No, we love Algo. Rice. there's a lot of criticisms over its centralization. You know, there's a lot of conflicting information, or I wouldn't even say conflicting, just obscuring information. You know, they have the validator nodes, they have the relay nodes. Validators, like, you know, any Joe Schmo, you know, John Doe can come in and be part of this ecosystem, but the relay node operators are handpicked by the Algo Foundation. It's only 140. You know, they're all, you know, potentially a lot of insiders who invested in the coin in the beginning. What is your thoughts when it comes to the decentralization pillar of Algorand?
There really aren't any because I really don't find that it's very decentralized. Now, again, there is a time and a place for centralization. I am a big fan of decentralization, but you have that blockchain trilemma that we're all trying to solve, trying to get past, which is your security, your scalability, and your decentralization. And generally, one of those gets sacrificed so that the blockchains can perform better. And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, as long as somebody knows what they're getting into, and it's not a situation with Solana that's advertising themselves as a decentralized blockchain, yet turning themselves off. If people realize that it is a centralized blockchain and that is why it's having faster throughput, and they know those risks and they're willing to accept that, then who am I to tell somebody what they can and can't choose? Just for myself, I would prefer more decentralized aspects. And I mean, Cardano is a competitor to Algorand. And I look at Cardano as being a lot more decentralized in those aspects. So I would support a project in those aspects that are more decentralized. But also, I mean, you're going to have a lot of different people speculating on different layer one protocols just because Ethereum is not where it's supposed to be. Ethereum is relying heavily on their layer two protocols. And then the other thing is, you know, the possibility, the speculation of the compliancy with the ISO 20022, which is a big thing as well.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the security, scalability, you know, the decentralization. You know, just to give the other side of the angle. I'm not just trying to bash it. Its scalability seems to be phenomenal. It's many transactions per second, and so there are some bright spots. You know, as you
Well, that's where the
sacrifice a leg, a
sacrificing
lot of
comes into
times.
play. And
Yep.
right,
The other
you
legs
have to
are
be,
strong.
as long
It's
as you
thick
know.
thighs. Yeah, it's very strong quads. You know, it's the strongest legs ever. Cassie, you know, what is your thought on the L1 ecosystem? There's a lot of competition. Can Algorand compete with the likes of a Cardano, an Ethereum, a Solana? Mm.
Possibly. I mean, it seems like they're kind of just getting started. I actually became a fan of Algo because of AJ also. That was something we discussed in the Bahamas, and I haven't had a chance to jump into their dApp system yet, but it's so far everything that I've seen, it looks really clean.
Okay.
As far as competing with Solana and kind of going back, it's gonna come down to like user needs, right? I also typically I prefer staying on more decentralized blockchains if at all possible, but I think a lot of that's going to change as we move forward. When it comes to mass adoption,
Mm.
centralization, well, with the government and the way things are moving, maintaining that control, typically they're going to be pushing more towards centralized platforms. So it's anyone's bet at this
It's
point.
unfortunate.
But
I tend to agree with that. Rice, do you think the next wave of retail will care more
Yeah,
about transactions per
I would
second or
agree. No,
yeah,
I would
it's
definitely agree
sad.
because they're going to want fast convenience. And
Mhm.
as a great example, again, you know, Solana, which I was harping on the entire time of its existence. I mean, it's still around, but Solana, again, they were turning their blockchain off, but yet there was still all this activity still taking place and
Yeah.
people still building and utilizing this platform that was obviously centralized, that was advertising itself as
So
something completely
I've never
opposite.
so
seen more
hold
surefire
on.
shorts fail versus a Solana chain breakdown and the price goes up. It just absolutely
So
made
but
zero
that's
sense. Makes sense now. Made no
really
sense at the
fast,
time.
I'm
AJ, go
gonna
ahead.
butt in here just to play the devil's advocate.
Feels
So
SPF.
I'm not the guy to get into the weeds about all this stuff. All right. At the end of the day, I'm a day trader, and that's what I like to do the most. That's why, you know, I like to accumulate, have my long-term bags, and then I day trade every day. That's my disclaimer. But to play devil's advocate off the Algorand website itself, it says the Algorand blockchain is entirely decentralized, which means there is no power.
Sorry.
Hold on, let me read it. It says, which means there is no powerful central authority or single point of control. A unique committee of users is randomly and secretly selected to approve every block. Nodes are run by entities representing diverse backgrounds across many different countries. And if you watch Silvio's interview with Lex Friedman from a little while ago, it says that they achieve decentralization through randomization, and that
yeah,
is the most.
you know,
I know.
normally
That's what
I hide my
understood about it.
opinions, but
Randomly
really I
selected
really must
people.
share this. That absolutely is a nonsense metric, because if you have hand chosen 140 people and it's
Right.
randomized between your hand chosen people, is it random?
There's no
Yeah,
random.
but anybody can become a node. Anybody can run a
No,
node.
anybody
It's
can
not
become a
just
relay
the
node.
the
You can't
relay.
be
Anybody could have ran a
node.
Solana node too,
Yeah,
but you had to have a certain amount locked up in order to even accumulate a reward too, and that was
Yeah.
in the millions.
Yeah, the relay
Okay.
node operators, there's only 140. They're all hand chosen, and you're referring to you know, where anybody can come in. It's the 140 relay node operators that have the majority of the power.
Okay, so what I want to do is that, like, this is actually a really good place to start this conversation with, like, the Algorand community that I have, like, on my Twitter and everything, and I like want to go to them and ask my Algorand family, Algorand community, like, hey, this is what they said on Around the Blockchain. Like, what is your response to this? Because I am not the guy to ask about, like, these kind of.
Oh no,
metrics
no,
and the
we're not
weeds like
here to
this,
say
but
AJ
but
must
I do
defend
but I do
Algo.
want to. No, I just want to know their response to this, because I don't
I
have. that
would
response.
actually have a better question. What is your thoughts on Algorand Incorporated being so hidden? And you know, the Algorand
True.
Foundation is the thing that everybody knows. It's the nonprofit. Meanwhile, the Algorand Incorporated entity received 4 or 5 times the amount of tokens upon launch, and it's a for-profit organization. And so, you know, that'd be where my main concern is. But that being said, I'm DCAing into Algorand. I think it is an attractive price. And to Cassie's point, and even Rice agrees, more people are going to care about the transactions per second than they are going to care about these 140 node operators. That's just that's just how crypto is, especially as retail comes in. Is this how we feel during the bear market? Just imagine when Bitcoin pumps past 50,000. It's just going to be a bunch of people who do not care about decentralization, and that's okay. But you watch Around the Blockchain to get all the perspectives, and you're here during the bear market. So you know what? You're probably going to be in a good position for the upcoming bull market. Let us know in the comments, are you buying Algo at these levels? Is under 25 cents a good buy? Is there another level you're waiting for? Let us know what that level is. That is all we have time for. I believe Ryan cut out. Something happened there.
He's covering it with his shirt.
His
Oh,
nakedness was
Ryan,
too
I
much.
would have thrown you a question. I had no idea. Yeah, I see your microphone.
YouTube,
let me throw you an
blotted him
Algo
out.
question
YouTube
here.
did that. It was because he was naked, man.
Okay, let me throw you an
was
Algo
SPF.
question here. What
Proof of
sector, Ryan, do you think Algo is poised to conquer? Is it going to be NFTs? Is it going to be DeFi? Is it going to be gaming? Is it going to be a store of value?
Based on a recent article I was reading, it looks like they're trying to pin the music or the decentralized music industry. That
Yeah,
Frequency
good point.
was launching on Algo, and they're also using Stripe to integrate payments so that
Yep,
independent
solid.
creators and artists can get paid that way. I actually, you know, Algo is one of my first loves because back in 2020 in the summer when it was DeFi summer, that was my first staking opportunity. And when I read the article and I was like, oh man, they haven't had any downtime. I just got to say accolades to Silvio Micali. And then for Solana, in your face, Anatoly Yakovenko. In your face, man. Your network always goes down, Solana.
Well, Yakovenko sold the top, so I don't know how much he cares. I don't know that to be true. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of people got out at 250. Ryan, I think your music thing is a good point. Let me just counter this. Now, it does seem like this protocol, they're building up the good infrastructure, but what do you think is more important when it comes to music and music NFTs and music royalty payments? Is it the network effect or your music catalog or you know, the amount of users you have on your app, or is it going to be the good blockchain with the good smart contracts?
We just don't want it to fail. If something goes down like with Solana and people are
Good point.
people are just upset because they're trying to get their transaction to go through, and for some reason it's not processing a payment and it's not sending the NFT, and people are freaking out because it's getting lost, they're going to want to go to another network, and Algo is going to be a great option for that. I think that Algo could pin a sector with mass adoption if they go with the NFT creativity sector in music.
All right. I'll say this about Algo. I'll end with a bright note. Algo's community is top notch, and it's a lot easier to buy good tech, build good tech, than it is to buy or build a good community. And they have a good community, people like AJ holding it strong, defending it, you know, asking the right questions, wanting to learn more. Cassie as well. So, you know, Ryan as well, even Rice. You know, he might buy a bag. Who knows? I don't know. You know, Rice does like money at the end of the day. So you're muted. You're muted there.
Trading is trading. And ultimately, I mean, if your goal is, let's just say, for example, to accumulate more Bitcoin, sometimes trading other altcoins and trading back into Bitcoin is another way to be able to increase your stack. You know, stack your sats as much as you possibly can. And that's one of my positions. So I will day trade or swing trade coins that I don't even support just for that particular mechanism.
All right. And the chat is all over the place, but I tell you what, a lot of you are in the Algo gang, Algo fam representing strong today. So the community is there. That is all we got time for. And it looks like Rice took it home. Rice, feel free. AJ almost had it. AJ, if I would have let him talk about governance, he would have surpassed you. But Rice,
damn it, TZ.
Rice, feel free. Take us home into the weekend with some parting thoughts, please.
All right, thank you. I appreciate, and I encourage everyone to make sure they're following all the guest information is down below in the video description. Make sure you're subscribed to RiceTVx and my sister channel, Rice Against the Grain. And nothing against the Algorand community. Again, there is a time and a place for centralization. It's just I'm not a huge fan of. I encourage people this weekend to spend time with their friends or families, get outside if it's nice, and touch ground.
The Algo team is coming in strong. All right, and real quick, today's episode brought to you by Presyn.io and BC Vault. Make sure you check those out. Great products. And that's all we got time for. Have a great weekend, folks.